Hello guys, my name is Mark and I am who? I am FunC developer. Not just FunC, but this is my new crush and I really want to become professional FunC developer. Then I will put another t-shirt with I am professional FunC developer. So I wasn't here for like a month, crazy, but I wasn't just chilling, I was learning what? FunC. So um, this video is going to be covering the Q&A session after our first video. I was all this time I was learning FunC. I was trying to understand better and better how it works, how I can write code. I also attended hackathon, which was amazing. I really encourage you to participate in hackathons. And yeah, a punishment for me for not being here for a month is that I'm going to release 2 videos next week. 2 videos, not one, not two, not including this one. 2 extra videos next week, and you're gonna like them because they will be even more practical than this one. Because there we are going to build some smart contract. So before I start, go to the link in the description, Telegram channel, subscribe. You're gonna stay tuned. You're going to know about the news first. And important announcement. I have something like 55 subscribers now on the channel, and once we hit 100 subscribers, I'm going to post 3 checks. If you didn't know, I already post checks once a week, and random lucky guys are picking it up. So I'm going to post 3 checks: one for 30 ton, one for 15 ton, and one for 5 ton. So it's going to happen on the same day. The most lucky guys are going to pick them up. So don't miss your luck. Go down in the description and subscribe. And this being said, I think we should proceed to the Narek's talk and have fun. I believe you know why we are here. Because a very funny joke I've heard on the hackathon in Prague was that the biggest lie in the ton is the fun prefix before the C.
Yeah, it's not true. It's not fun.
Yeah, maybe once you are like not you can say like you're experienced already. So it's getting easier over time, or it's getting more and more hard.
Well, depends on the developers. For some of them, it's getting easier. For some of them, it's getting harder and harder because some of them trying to go and gain some deep understanding of how tone works, and some of them are like just simply using some APIs and trying to make simple contracts.
Yeah, nice. But thank you so much for being with us today, Narek. So Narek Abovyan is quite an experienced developer. Maybe you want to introduce yourself a little bit, like where you
Yeah,
work.
thank you for inviting. I was former CTO of Get Games, and currently I'm the lead of Tontech, which is like a small team. I'm currently the only one here. We are providing libraries and some other stuff, smart contracts, and well, we are providing all of the stuff to make developers happier and their life easier on Ton.
Thank
We are
you.
trying to lower the bar of entrance in the Ton development community.
Man, thank you so much. Nice. So you already watched the previous video, and
Yeah.
this video we're recording as kind of like a post like Q&A session where the questions, for some questions I realized how stupid they were actually, because I talked with some people. I've learned a lot since that time. So I'm going to share my screen uh, to put down the list of questions that we had. So you can see my screen, right?
Yep.
Okay, so I hope that recording also catches it. And let's just cut to the chase. Let's start talking about the sizes of variables. This was my first shock, I would say, where I figured out that I have to specify the amount of bytes or bits that I have to dedicate for specific variable.
But then I also understood that this is for a purpose, because like the memory is like one line and line of bytes, let's say, and you kind of like, let's say if you want to write two variables and then you want to change on the one of them, like let's say second one, then you would need to read both and then write back both. And this way, like the size of the variable, the size that you dedicate for the variable in the memory, it's for you to know what is the structure of your memory, right? To read this variable later on.
Well, I guess you are messing up with the cells and the variables itself, because variables are like variables on a virtual machine, and the cells is like some data structure which you can put anything in. And if you are trying like to store a number in that cell, you should like define how much of the bits it occupies. And if you are like using a number variable inside the TVM, it's always like 256 bits. Integers in Tone virtual machine are always 264 bits, 256 bits.
256. Okay, because I
Or
was,
maybe 257 for the bytes signed bit, but I don't sure right now.
that's quite like the biggest integer is quite big. You can put quite a big number into the.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's 257 bit integers.
For the signed ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but let's say if I'm going to store, like when you say number, do you mean like this integer? So for example, I want to load like integer from the cell, but this is
Yeah.
more for variable. It's not what you just said before. What you said before
Yeah,
is
when you are using the variables in, well, look, there is some like scalar types in TVM. It's like integer, tuple, null, slice, cell, etc. So integers are always 257 bits. At the same time, cell is like it stores binary data. So there is no schema at which you store that data. So the language doesn't know what you want to store, and that's why we have TLB. And you can store like precise fixed size integers in cells, like even down to 1-bit integers. So that's why you should define how many bit it uses.
Okay. And nice. So I just realized that we put the type that in message, it's actually a slice, and it's just an address of the slice, right? So that's why we can start loading int from it. Okay. I will probably never get it completely before I practice that a lot of times. So I thank you for bringing me one step ahead. And
no problem.
So basically, why do we need to define it? Because I was asking that question for myself back then. Like the biggest reason here why we define it is to properly read. Let's say if I know that there in message there's like two numbers, and the whole message length is, let's say, 64, and then I can first read this first 32. And then I read the second 32, and I know these are two different parts, and this is basically the reason why we use the site. Nice. Okay, great. So I also didn't understand the practical part. Oh, wait. I have some comments. When I send it like in message body, can I see this message on Explorer? Because for example, like here, I create, you see my screen, right?
Yeah.
So here I create, let's say 32 unsigned integer and put the 11 as a data. And then I send it, like this is my, let's say, in message body. And when I send it to my smart contract, I cannot see, I can see a transaction on the blockchain. Well, like for example, I copy that address and I go to testnet, Ton Explorer. Okay. And here I had a transaction, but how can I see the data that I sent there?
I get there is a like a clipboard clip icon here at the left.
This one?
Yeah, try this one. Yeah. I
Mhm.
guess Tonscan is not showing any like binary data. Yeah, here is the operation. I guess that's that.
So this is messages. I see.
Here at the
Oh, this
yeah.
one.
Yeah, I guess it's that, but it depends on the Explorer you use. Like Tonwales one actually shows the binary data which you pass, but they don't have testnet version.
Ah, okay, okay. That makes sense. Okay, and once we're here talking about messages, I wanted to ask, so for most of people, even the beginning of developers, when you talk about message that you send, you're like, I don't know, if you only use, let's say, ToneKeeper or ToneHub wallet to send transactions, you can see there's like a comment. But as far as I understood, this comment is different from what we send here as a data. What is the difference between these two messages?
It's not different. Well, there is a it works like this. So if it's convenient that every message starts with 32 bits integer of the operation code. And if the operation code is 0, this means like regular money transaction. And after that 0, everything is considered to be a text comment. And if your text doesn't fit to one cell, the rest of it should be put in the first reference on the first cell. So it's like a chain of cells. But if it fits in single cell, it looks like this. So you have 32 bits integer 0, and then the rest is a like UTF-8 string.
Okay, so basically the comment that we see that we put text, let's say, on the transaction that we send to someone, if it's not a very big text, it will be probably like first just uint, and then
the text itself.
the text itself. Okay, but yeah, so basically there's no difference. I would say in this question, that makes sense.
Yeah.
For me.
Let's break down a little bit of what we just learned with Narek. I decided to suggest have a look at the real smart contract. This is smart contract from Contest by one of the great guys who know FunC quite well. His name is Igor Konyakhin. Maybe one day we're gonna have a talk with him as well here. So we just talked about the variables, and as I said, I've learned quite a little bit more about the FunC, and I wanted on some examples to share some of the facts that I've learned about it, and it might help you in this topic. So just to repeat the same thing from the first video, cell is a memory cell inside of the Tone virtual machine. Slice is the specific part of the cell. So slice says the beginning from which inside of this cell we take some data. So what we get here is we get a cell with in message full. It's full because like cell stores everything. So slice, it's in message body. It's basically starting from some point and going like all the way to the end or to some part. So and cells in TVM are immutable. So we cannot change a value of what is stored in cell. We can read it and then we can create a new cell and put something into it. And this explains what we discussed with Narek, that here, for example, we need to get some part of the in message slice, because this is already part of the message full. So we take the slice, and then we are reading first. We're reading operation. So that's what Narek was talking about. The first operation, it's either 0 and yeah, I believe 0, but if I'm wrong, check this part. It's first unsigned integer, or no, yeah, it's unsigned integer of 0, so it's 32 bits and 32 zeros, or at the beginning we have a like operation code. This is common practice to do it, and the rest is either some data, if it's not 0, or it's a UTF string that you can parse like you want, as Narek said. So basically here we first read the operation, then we read the query ID, and we just got this as a message. We don't want to put anything back. This is a message, and the better example is when this task was the address memorizer. So it means that somewhere we are going to write into the address. So as you can see in the logic, so operation is something that you put like you can put like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and handle every part of like every case. So in case the OP, like the first 32 bits, in case it's 1, then we are creating a slice manager address, and we are loading it. So this is something that is permanently, not permanently, but like sustainably stored inside of the contract. And yeah, this is exception. We'll talk about this later. The new address, we read it from the we read it from the message, and here, that's the thing, begin cell. So we are creating a new cell, and we have to put into this new cell everything that we want to be there. So it's basically going to be a new cell where it's going to be stored. Just so you understand that they're immutable. You cannot just change the value of what is inside. So it's basically going to be new cell. So basically, let's have a look which cells we have here. So one important cell is the one where the message just got in. Then we talk about slices. And then another important cell is the one that's new created. And then another important cell is when we send a message. So if operation code is 2, then we are going to begin a cell, write all the data about this new message. We are not going to dig into the message structure here. Actually, this you can find in the documentation here, send raw message. But I'll leave the link in the description, but we are not going to dig into that at the moment. It's going to be the next video when we are going to write actual smart contract. Stay tuned, subscribe to the Telegram channel, you will not miss it. So basically here in this example, we see 3 different cells, and it's good to understand how it works.
I had another question that if I send, let's say, 4-bit message, but then I load uint specifying like more than 4 bits, it shows me the exception code 9, which is under flow. But if I send 4-bit message, but load less bits, let's say I said load uint 2-bit, yeah, then it shows no exception, but it just reads only half of it. It just reads as much as it wants. And I just, let's say if I expect a bigger number there, I will get a smaller one because I didn't read long enough, right?
So your question is why it like throws an exception if you try to read more, and
yeah, basically this was my question, because it's but I also I think I know the answer because I'm trying to read from the cell which was never recorded.
No, it's not true. It's like the cell has like fixed size. You can occupy only 10, 23, I think, bits. And so there is no, so it's like there is no layout for that data. So it's just binary data. It's up to you how you parse that, or it's up to you how you like serialize that. And there is tail B schemas that represent how cells are serialized or deserialized, but it's all off chain. So this data is like it's up to you how you represent that. So if there is like 4 bits data in that cell and you are trying to read 5 bits of data, it's definitely an error here. You definitely don't know what you're doing. And if there is like 10 bits and you only read the half of it, it's okay, but there is actually a function on FunC which is called, I guess, end parse. And if you call end parse and there is still data which is not read yet in that cell, it also raises an exception.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this makes sense. If you write some big contract, you probably can just mess that up. And this is a good help to have an exception for that.
So let me get back to this example that we are reviewing here. Important about exceptions, just so you understand where to search info about that. First, you can throw exceptions in different manners. So here in the documentation, FunC built-ins, we can see how we can throw exceptions. So there's throw if, then throw unless, or just unconditional throw. You can do one of three. And another cool thing is that there is a number of standard codes. It's like when the application, like it can happen that your application will break because of one of the standard code, but you yourself, you're not tied to this particular set of codes. And we can see that in example, throw unless 102. From how I understand it, this is not present here. So you basically can do any code. You'll just see it on the Explorer, which code it broke with.
Just wanted to quickly ask, actually, internal versus external messages. Like, I found this Stack Overflow thing, but if you can say your description of what's the difference and when to use which ones.
Yeah, so you should like think about the tone contracts like an actors, if you're familiar with actor model. So actors is like just this piece of this simple service which they are capable of like communicating with each other using messages. And you actually don't have like the guarantee that the message will arrive and that the other side will like proceed that message as you wish, but you can like communicate using messages. And in tone, there is two kind of messages which contracts can accept. External messages and internal messages. Internal messages is like messages from one contract to the other. They are internal for the network. External messages are the messages from outside of the world to the contract. Main difference is that, so basically, if the internal messages is the message from a contract to a contract, external message is when like you can call some tone center API or some other stuff and send external message to any contract you want. The main difference is that since the external message is not from some other contract and it doesn't carry some coins with that, so the main question is who pays the execution, and the answer is simple. If some contract receives external message, it's up to that contract to decide whether or not he accepts this message. He has like small gap of gas, a free gas, at which he can like read small part of that message and decide whether or not he will like accept it. And if he accepts it, contract pays the execution from his own money. This is how wallet contracts work. So wallet contract receives external message with the sign. It checks the sign, and if the sign is correct, that means that actual owner of the wallet sent this message. And if the sign is correct, contract accepts this message and pays for the gas. If it's not correct, then contract rejects and nothing happens.
Okay, so basically, when you're talking about any kind of smart contract development, like functional smart contracts that do something in real life use cases, we probably expect the internal messages, and because we expect them to be transactions with some money, and that's why we need to the sender, let's say, to pay the execution.
Yeah.
And that's why we use the internal messages as a primary way. Okay, but anyways, I'll put this link into description so you guys can read. Like Tal Kol wrote some extensive, like real life use cases. Cool.
Let's talk a little bit more about the internal and external messages. I've learned a lot of things about them, and still I think it's a simple, small drop in the ocean, but I want to share that with you because I'm sharing here whatever I learn. If I'm wrong, write it in the description, but I'm super happy to start understanding how it works. Narek explained pretty much everything, but I also wanted to dig into the example. So now you can see this is the wallet code on the official verified GitHub repository. If you go to crypto, smart contracts, and then there's a ton of smart contracts, that's a good place to browse around. I'll leave the link in description. So if you want to see the FunC code, you should hit the files with FC at the end, and maybe there are some files with FunC tests. You don't want to look at them at this point, I think, but you should definitely check out the smart contracts that are published there. So important thing, we go to the here. We go to the code of the wallet, quite a simple wallet, and we can see what is going on here. So here we receive external message. So the wallet does nothing on internal message, this particular wallet. And what it does, it is checking signature. And then there's some exception it can throw. And also checking the sequence number. From what I understood, sequence number is the amount of transactions on this wallet. And then it is putting the accept message. Accept message, that's exactly the moment when the smart contract, the wallet smart contract, is deciding to pay for that transaction. So if this check of the signature wouldn't work, it will, like you see, there is quite a few exceptions are thrown before the accept message. And then after the accept message, the smart contract actually sends the internal message with the transaction info, with the transaction code. So a real life example of that. When you use, for example, my favorite TonHub wallet, from how I understand it, you are having your private key inside of your device, inside of the app. And what you're doing when you say send money, you're actually signing a transaction of sending money from your wallet, because your actual wallet is not inside your app. Your actual wallet is the smart contract deployed for you. And you're signing a transaction, preparing all the data, but you cannot send it just from your mobile phone. You are actually sending it on the TonHub server, and server is sending an external message with this transaction data. Like, what do I mean by transaction data? It means send money to Mark Ochman. And you can do it after watching this video, actually. So you are sending just a transactional body, and your server, TonHub server, is sending this as an external message to the wallet smart contract, and the wallet smart contract is checking this checking the signature that you made inside of your mobile app. It is checking, from how I understand it, it's checking the signature, and if the signature is right and all these conditions are met, then it is accepting the message, and then it is sending this send row message. You see, it doesn't, it actually has a loop. I will explain why it's loop. It's sending, it doesn't even check, it doesn't even know what is inside of this transactional data, because it doesn't care. The signature is right. So that means that the smart contract thinks you know what you're doing. And when this send row message is executed, we know that this is internal transaction, internal message. So that's why this money will just arrive on the internal message of other guy's wallet if we are talking about sending coins. Yeah, so as you can see, a big difference of Ton compared to Ethereum, for example, is that in Ethereum, wallet is a wallet and smart contract is a smart contract. In Ton, everything is a smart contract. And as Narek said before, any communication between smart contracts, this is internal messages. And when from outside of the world we want to trigger some interaction or trigger something inside of the inside of the smart contract, we send external messages. I hope there was some good examples for you. If you still not clear, not sure about it, just write a commentary. Maybe Narek will also answer. You will also find his Telegram down there in the description. So you if you want, you can maybe talk to him directly. And another important thing I've learned about messages is that both internal and external messages are able to deploy smart contracts. Because in Ton you can actually put the smart contract code into a message and you send it to you send it to the cloud, to a specific address, to which address you will ask, because and I will say in Ton, address is a hash from initial state and the code of smart contract. So basically, even before deploying the smart contract, you already know the address. And basically, you're sending a message with the code of smart contract and initial state to not yet existing smart contract, like address which is not yet there. And it's getting self-deployed and then executed. So basically, how to deploy smart contract for free? You write the smart contract code, you put the initial state, you calculate the address, not calculate, but you get a hash and you get an address. Then you send some money on this address, and then you send an external message with this initial state and code as an external message, and then it's getting self-deployed and it pays for itself. So of course you have to send some money, but in your business cases it might be that someone has to send some money and it's going to pay the deploy of smart contracts. So as a developer you don't have to pay for that. I hope this is the right, I explained it the right way. So yes, we have viewed the examples of internal external messages. I think it's going to be an everlasting journey when we know something new about about messages, because this is the primary, like those two are the gates into the logic of smart contract.
All right, so I wanted to ask a little bit about that the message itself that we sent here, because I was like, my video was based on the tutorial and I was basically using someone else's code, but not very sure what it does. And I think it's important to understand the structure of the fifth message that we sent here. and they even say like create builder cells, but can this message be like, I don't know, bigger, or like can I do like 2 cells like that, so it will build two it will create 2 builder cells? And
Yeah, it would be like since the fifth is a stack language, it would be like a 2 builders on the stack.
okay, but how would I read it then? Let's say um
Look,
from
the
what
best way to deal with fifth is like don't use fifth.
oh, okay.
Because look, my guess is that original developers of the tone started developing it, and they like implemented all the primitives on C++, stuff like cells, builders, not tuples, arithmetics, cryptography, all of that stuff. And they needed like a language to test that stuff, a scripting language. And I guess the fastest language to implement is something like fifth. Fifth is basically a fourth, and you can like write an interpreter for fourth in, I guess, a couple of days, because it's a very simple stack language. And so they did it. But since we now have like libraries on JavaScript and other languages, I guess there is no need to use fifth anymore. So there is no such a task that you can't do using, I guess, JavaScript, for example, that you can't do. There is no task that you can solve using fifth that you can solve using JavaScript right now. So you can just use tone library for that and build cells, parse them, and do whatever you want. So nowadays you just don't use fifth anymore.
Okay, and this brings us in a very nice moment to the next question. So from my first video, from my questions today, I think you can approximately understand where I am on my learning curve. So,
Yeah.
and I saw many people who are on the similar step that I am now, and they have no clue where to head next. And this is why my question sounds like where to head next. So I have seen because there's absolutely no tutorials on YouTube on how to on differences between these approaches and stuff. I think it's called Tone Starter Smart Contracts. I think it's yeah, it's these ones. This is the library I hit after advice of Tal Kol. It's his.
Yeah.
I think it's his repository. But let's say at this point, where should I head? Like, what kind of tasks should I try to do, and where should I practice my skills? Like, yeah, something like that.
Well, you could like try to write some simple smart contract stuff like sharing revenue or sharing some money stuff, or trying to play with NFTs or stuff like that. But I guess the main question is to choose the way you write contracts, and there is actually currently there is 2 ways to go. The one is like that you showed us, tone starter contracts, which is used like they use tone library at JavaScript, they use tone smart contract executor and stuff like that. And the other side is tone CLI. So the main differences is that so tone CLI uses fifth for some stuff, for like building messages and stuff like that. And tone CLI adopts the idea to write tests in FunC, using FunC. So it's like more of a unit testing. So you can like test specific function in FunC. using FunC. This has like both advantages and disadvantages. The advantages is like obvious. It's a unit testing. You can write tests. You can test specific functions, stuff like that. The disadvantages is that it's FunC is not the best language to write tests on. And I'll add to the disadvantages the fifth stuff, because I personally don't like to write fifth code. So if there is a way to don't write that fifth code, I prefer that way. And the other side, which you are showing us, which I originally started, I guess, because I created the tone contract executor, and the basic idea is that tone contract executor is the TVM itself, so it's the tone virtual machine itself, compiled to WebAssembly. So it allows you to run contracts locally using JavaScript environment. When you combine that with tone library from Tone Wales, when you combine that with FunC compiler, which is also built to WebAssembly, which we released 2 weeks ago, I guess. This allows you to like fully compile, test, run locally your contracts using JavaScript environment and the tools you love. So you can like write your contract on FunC and test it on a jest, for example, or using Mocha or other library you like in JavaScript. Yeah, that's it. So I prefer this way because it's like you can use all of your favorite JavaScript libraries. It's a familiar environment. You can like reuse your code if you, well, for example, if you like write in a smart contract and you write in some functions on JavaScript that builds messages, cells with messages that will be sent to that smart contract, you can like reuse that code both for tests and for like your front end or your application and stuff like that.
This makes sense.
Yeah. But it's like it's more of a integration tests. It's not like unit test, because you are not testing specific functions of your smart contract. You are testing the whole smart contract itself. You are just like sending a message to it and checking the result, checking the change state, data state, and what messages your contract trying to send, and etc.
Okay, so basically here, if I never started to develop with this Tone Starter contract, but maybe if we have a little bit time, can we maybe just, because I never even found some tutorial on that would write actually simple smart contract. So I'm
well, actually, I didn't try it neither.
Oh, okay. I think I got it. So this one is not what you told us about, is like some okay, I thought you're describing us this approach.
Yeah, I was describing this approach, but I didn't use this template. I started from the scratch every time. And I guess in that template, Toll still uses some of the fifth stuff, and I guess they are still using some precompiled binaries. And well, we have a plan to like improve on Tone contract executor and combine all of that stuff with executor, FunC compiler, Tone library, and combine it to CLI tool, something like a haircut. And when we will finish doing that, it would be much easier. So it would be like something like npx create react app, but for Tone. Until that, you can use those tools, but it's not like combined together. It's not glued together yet.
Okay, but maybe we can make a list of those tools just to clarify and for the person who's watching it, so he could maybe configure this like different things for himself to start development the way you do.
Yeah, it's definitely the tone contract executor, the tone library from tone whales.
The one we find on NPM, right?
Yeah, and it's I'll share the link to you 1 second. Tone compiler from community. It's in your Telegram.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Tone compiler.
This one is new actually. It's like the FunC compiler, but it runs everywhere, like in your browser, Node.js, whatever you want.
Okay. So basically, I think we're not going to dig deep into these first steps, but I want to maybe I will record a separate video where I would like figure this out and explain to guys. So basically, tone contract executor, is that tone CLI or
No, it's just the TVM itself compiled to the WebAssembly. So you can open the docs for it. It's yeah, I'll send the link for you. 1 second. Here is it. Yeah. So scroll down a bit. Yeah, so here is it. This allows you to like create somewhat a smart contract instance. And if you scroll down enough, you can like invoke get methods on that contract locally, fully locally. Send messages and check what is the result and stuff like that. And you can do that like on a local contracts, or you can like go to the network and download the code for existing contract and the data and like run it, play with it, and check what is the result. So it's a TVM itself.
So basically, if I start a new project, I install this tone contract executor.
Yeah.
Then I install tone library.
Yeah.
Then I install tone FunC compiler.
Yeah. And my suggestion is to like take a look at GetJam's contracts repository, because we have like a collection of NFT related contracts here, and they are all covered with tests using this technique. No, that's not that. Yeah, 1 second. Here it is.
Okay. Nice. So this is GetJam's NFT contracts. So
yeah, so
there's also docs for them?
For some of them, yeah. It's the metadata, I guess. Yeah.
Okay.
Jump to the packages and to the contracts.
Nice.
Yeah, so under the sources is like the FunC sources for the contracts, and under the folders itself is the thin JavaScript wrapper to work with the contract and tests itself. Yeah, here is like you can open auction spec.ts. No, not the data one. The data is like stuff to build the cell. Yeah. So here is how you can like write tests using this approach.
Nice. So I was wondering, you said that on the sources you have so let's say NFT item FunC code. So basically, wait a second. Don't FunC. If I understood right, you do you write the FunC code and then you write the wrapper in JavaScript, or what's the right order?
In this case, we this is the standard code for NFTs, the standard implementation. We took that standard implementation and we covered it with tests and wrote some extra JavaScript code to interact with that stuff, with that contracts. So we have like a code to deploy that contracts. We have like a code that creates messages to interact with that contract and stuff like that.
So you can basically deploy that contract with JavaScript here.
We like building the message that deploys that contract. It's up to you whether or not you're like deploying it through the JavaScript or using like Tonekeeper or stuff like that. So this is actually this code is actually used in the core of the GetCams marketplace itself.
Okay, this makes sense. This makes sense. I will do my best to figure out the way to use this stack. And then I will just ask you for the good like channels, groups where one could find more information or ask some questions that I don't know, maybe we all know about this Tone dev chat in Russia.
Yeah, I guess it's the best one actually, because everybody is sitting here and everybody is open for the questions and it's very helpful. I don't know actually a bigger one or a better one for developers.
Okay, okay. Nice. Then I want to thank you, Narek. I think at this point we covered all the questions from the previous tutorial that I had, and I'm looking forward to get hands on the stack you just explained us. Guys, you can find in descriptions. Oh, do you have any Telegram channel, maybe YouTube channel? Should I reference you in description?
No, I don't
Your
have.
Instagram?
No.
Okay. So we will just put the info that you shared with us in the description.
Yeah, you can always contact me directly in Telegram. It's just Narek.
Should I put it on the description for the guys?
Yeah.
Nice. So you know, if you have some interesting question, you can outreach to Narek. Okay, so see you guys in the next videos. Bye-bye.
So guys, Narek is showing us a good stack that he's using for building smart contracts. I'm digging into it, and I want to announce to you that next video is going to be about using Tone smart contracts, Tone starter smart contracts, so written by Tal Kol, and we are going to go step by step into how to write a smart contract and then test it and deploy it. And this stack we're going to be reviewing in the next video. Of course, we're going to talk with Tal Kol as well, so stay tuned. There's a link in the description on Telegram, and you should definitely subscribe, because that's the way you are going to know when the video is published. And of course, subscribe to the channel. But a little comment on that already now is that it was a shock for me in a way that like FunC, JavaScript, so can I write smart contract if I know JavaScript? Actually, no. So let's, if we talk about like military thematics, which is this is the year of when we can use these examples. So let's say like the smart contract is a nuclear part of the big rocket. So I don't know, let's take another example. So satellite is brought to the outside of the, like on the, I don't know how it's called in English, I mean like this orbit where it's going around the globe. So basically you have to bring this satellite to this orbit, and then you don't need anything to keep it there. It's just itself is running around and connecting with the Earth stations. So basically, smart contract is this satellite, and JavaScript in these stacks is this rockets that are bringing it there. So basically, we can this local executor is simulating the environment for your smart contract, and you can simulate the Ton blockchain, like TVM actually, for the smart contract, and you can run it, but you cannot pretty much simulate the interaction between smart contracts. While Ton Starter is actually helping you to deploy it, and then you can also run tests on it, like on the deployed smart contract. So we're going to dig deeper into that, but I gave you a brief explanation of how I see it right now. So stay patient, please. I promise you those videos, you are going to get them for sure. And yeah, what I want to say, please go to the description. There is Narek's Telegram. Write him thank you. I dare you to write him thank you, because I'm going to invite a lot of cool people here. And this will be very cool if you show them the appreciation, because this is going to give them more motivation to teach us, new guys. So I really hope that you guys show him some love, because he really answers my questions. He's patient with me, and every other professional who's going to be here on the Q&A sessions, I really ask you to go and show them some love in chat, in the dev chat of Ton. Please do. And also, there is my Telegram channel in the description. There you should definitely be subscribed to not miss the updates that are going to be soon. And I almost forgot to announce a little bit of a roadmap for us. We are here, FunC developers, but we want to be very practical. We want our smart contracts to actually work with the real world. So there's going to be videos on how to write a dApp, like web application that interacts with smart contract. There's also going to be a video on how to write a React Native mobile app that interacts with smart contracts. So you should definitely closely get ready that by the time, like whatever we talk about here, you should go out and practice. Have a look at the smart contracts that on the repository that I share with you. And of course, I will do my best to organize some kind of a live coding sessions where you could ask your questions. But you should definitely get ready, because once we get to the real business cases of writing dApps, React Native apps, there you already have to be able to write simple logic. So please review this video, get what you understand, ask what you don't understand, and this is a very, very nice journey. Sorry for such a long introductions to other social networks and everything. The reason is because we're just starting, and we want to stay tuned, we want to learn more. And now you can see that there is a community on CircleSO. The link is in the description, of course. You can go and register there. There's not much happening at the moment, but we're going to pump it up. I'm going to post some maybe articles even on this community. And I really would like to invite you, because there you can talk with me more like in a more regular way. Of course, Telegram is cool, but in Telegram, this is just a channel. You cannot talk to others. So here in the community, you can also see other answers. This is not competing with answers.ton.org. It's more of a place where we can not just do Q&A sessions, like answers like Stack Overflow. There's a place where we want to unite kind of our efforts. So let's say you now are going to be a very, very professional FunC developer after watching these videos. But maybe you will need some business guy who needs to bring some real valuable business case. And that's the place where we're trying to connect people like you. And some people don't want to dig into FunC. They only want to go with Web3, JavaScript. Some people just want to go with design or business strategy. So that's the place for communicating. So I hope this is going to be the place where the next Ton unicorns are going to be born, and invite you. You can see me there. This being said, I want to say to you, thank you for watching it that far. and really want to invite you for the next video, and wish you good days, good week. I promise you 2 more videos next week. I promise you. So let's see what kind of journey is going to bring next week. See you guys.